Okay, thank you for not leaving while we were doing all that. Good afternoon. My name is Alan. The Uncanny. Wow, people get some more applause than I do. I come from another world, and I go to the great beyond. I sleep in the fifth dimension, and I eat breakfast in the twilight zone. And what does a magician have for breakfast? Everyone's a critic. Listen, I know what you're thinking. I know why you were groaning, actually. A lot of you were thinking, this is not a very nutritional breakfast at all. It's practically candy with all the sugar in it. You're right. Some people may, in fact, prefer a hot meal. So I've come prepared. And those of you who would like to have a hot meal, I'm all set to go. Just take our cereal, pour a little in there. Put on the lid, apply a little heat. Don't need a great deal of heat these days. This should be just enough. There we go. A nice hot breakfast. I wasn't planning on having a duck for breakfast. In fact, I'd rather duck breakfast. What are you staring at? Take a bite. No, he's going to have a nap now. For a duck, is an awful ham. And I just made that one up. Okay. I'd like to talk to you now about something no one ever talks about. Invisible colors. Now, we all know what visible colors are. We're wearing them. We see them on the walls everywhere else. We can see them. That's why they're called visible colors. However, what most people do not know is that hovering around us, floating in the air, are invisible colors just waiting to be noticed. Have any of you ever seen any invisible colors? You haven't. There's probably a good reason for that. The whole idea, though, is to make those invisible colors visible. And fortunately, I have some friends at MIT who have been able to help me out with a little invention that can cause that to happen. Now, this simple-looking little metal tube is known by the scientific community as a simple-looking little metal tube. But it's also known as a chromatic constitutionalizer. And that's just a fancy way of saying that it can make invisible colors visible. First of all, we have to take the colors out of the air and place them in the tube. But unfortunately, because this is an open-ended tube, everything I put in there is going to fall right on the ground. You're not going to see it anyway. So that's why I brought with me this special laboratory-prepared tissue. Sealing up this end. Now, you're probably saying, oh, I saw him sneak something in there. Well, I want to assure you that this tube is still completely filled with empty space, as you can see with my little flashlight here. Nothing in there, so now we will put something in there. I see some red over here, some yellow, some green. Now some of you may be sensitive enough, as am I, to actually see some of these colors. If you just reach out and toss them at the tube. All right, there we go. The front row is excited about doing so. All right, just a few more. I need some purple. Anyone have any purple? Great, terrific. All right. I think, okay, it's getting a little heavy. I believe we have all we need. So and as I do so, I would like to ask a very important question. What is it that we get when we put all the colors together? Does anyone have the answer to that? Yes?
Brown.
That is what a lot of people believe. That if you take, for instance, with paint, if you mix them up and you put them all together, you get black or brown, something like that. Yes, you have the... Well, that's sometimes. There's the optical theory. Some people believe that if you were talking about light, you put all the colors together, you get white. What they are missing the point on is that what you really get is a rainbow. A rather long rainbow. An excruciatingly long rainbow. Wow. Whoa. There you are. ladies and gentlemen, a miracle of living color. Brought to you by Alan, the Uncanny. And now, as a master of the arcane arts and the occult sciences, it is now my duty to perform the obligatory rope trick. Does anyone happen to have a piece of rope on them? A clothesline, a thick shoelace? It's okay. Fortunately, for just such emergencies, I brought my own rope with me here. Nice piece of rope here. A good piece of rope always has three things. It has a center, also known as a middle, and it has two ends. Now, to make sure that I've got a good piece of rope, I'm going to take a little inventory and make sure I've got what I'm supposed to have. Here's the one center and the two ends. 1, 2, 3. That's what I said. Rope's not supposed to have three ends. You know what? It might be me. I was never that good at arithmetic. I may have miscounted. It might be my fault. Let me try this again. We have the one center, and we have two ends. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, nice. Hello?
4. I was so horrified, time stood still for a minute. All right, I don't understand this at all. I've heard of one rope with two ends. I've heard of two ropes, each of which with two ends, but I've never heard of a rope with 4 ends, which we don't even have anymore. The part I can't figure out is why it is that I can take this piece of rope, tie a single knot, and end up with 3 knots. And that's not even why I brought this rope out. Let me make things a little bit more difficult for myself by adding a few knots, because right now, right before your very eyes, ears, nose, and throat, I, Alan, the Uncanny, will cause these knots to disappear. Are you ready? This is the dramatic moment of the evening, or the afternoon, whatever it is. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. I was holding the wrong end. 1. Here we go. This is gonna be exciting. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it. Show's over. I'm going out in the car. I can't take this anymore. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I beg your forgiveness. That was very unprofessional of me. I lost control. I forgot something very important. The knots will vanish, but they'll only vanish under cover of darkness. So if we just wait for the sun to go down, maybe come back in a few hours, you don't want to wait that long. There's got to be oh, hey. Huh. I've done this before. This bag I keep my rope in happens to have a black lining. As long as it doesn't have any holes to let any light through, yeah, this should do it, I think. If I put the rope with the knots into the bag, close the bag tightly, the knots are now in the dark. And most of the time, so am I. Now all we have to do is generate the necessary mystical energies. And we do that in a very special way. First, we blow the magic whistle. Then, we honk the magic horn. And finally, we crack the magic quack. Did you do that? That's okay. That sounds very strange, but in fact, it has done the job. We've generated the mystical energies, and I can now reach in and pull out a piece of rope, showing you that the knots have indeed completely vanished. What? Well, they did disappear, but not exactly in the manner that I had intended. Gee, I wonder where those knots went to. Peculiar, but it was also okay, it's about time for me to head back to the netherworld and round out the show. I hope you've all enjoyed yourself this afternoon. As much as we enjoyed it. And let's leave you with a little piece of advice, if I may, that as you coast carelessly through this cockeyed continuity that we call our common everyday existence. Do not fear the mystery. Enjoy that which you do not understand. Embrace it. Let it give you perspective. And never let the magic go out of your life.
Whoa. Good time tonight, folks. Let's bring our musicians out one more time. Pat Ferreira. Rafael. Ron June. Kevin Butler. Dave Flynn. Doc Rogers. John Samamatsu. Alan Wasila. Thank you so much for coming by. I hope you had a good time, had some laughs. I hope you had a good time. Thank you so much.